Our top story here at 11 o'clock, the controlled detonation in a Middletown neighborhood. The video now released by Metro Police. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Doug Proffitt. And more than a week later, the Metro Police Chief is now apologizing for their lack of communication during that day-long event. With a father dead and his son charged with murder, WHAS 11 team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Aspen Hester talked again with the head of that condominium association about the apology.
A Middletown detonation heard around the neighborhood. Louisville Metro Police releasing this drone video of the actual detonation by the bomb squad. A suspicious package they believe was meant for a neighborhood resident, retired Jefferson County Reserve Sheriff's Deputy John McQuillan. Now, more than a week later, the Metro Police Chief offering an apology.
Yes, and I think we could have done a better job of getting information out more quickly. Communicating
about the controlled detonation in the neighborhood and homicide investigation of McQuillan. Police say John, known as Tommy, was shot in front of his home off Winter Springs Court in the Swan Point neighborhood. His son, Brandon McQuillan, is charged with his father's murder.
I think there was some hesitancy to make sure that we were not putting out incorrect information, and sometimes we err on the side of caution, because I would rather put out the correct information slow than the wrong information fast.
Through the entire day, the Neighborhood Association's president, Lonnie Thurman, was the middleman.
Well, from my end, I was kept in the loop pretty much on what was going on.
Thurman kept residents updated on developments and evacuated with them to the clubhouse for the detonation, as requested by law enforcement.
The majority of our residents were very appreciative, very thankful, and there were a couple of residents that seemed inconvenienced, and which I don't understand because of the seriousness of the situation.
There was a lot of unknowns that we couldn't share, and so we do our best to make sure that we accommodate people, but making them safe is our priority. We can make them feel better later.
The neighborhood working together to process through the situation, while Brandon McQuillan sits in custody with a bond of $1 million. In Louisville, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
Now, McQuillan is expected to be in court tomorrow morning for the murder charge. He and his father both had emergency protective orders on each other. We detail those documents, by the way, for you, and you can find it posted on our website, WHAS11.com. For the first time, the Nelson County Sheriff Raymond Penaroa facing his felony charges in court. Defense attorney Steve Romines of Louisville, known for defending Scotty Scheffler and Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, insisted on the sheriff's right to innocence until proven guilty. The sheriff and his chief deputy, Brandon Bryan, facing a potential of decades in prison if found guilty. Their charges include abuse of public trust, theft by deception, and official misconduct. But today, the two walked out of the courtroom and right back to their jobs. The prosecutor wants them to have no contact, but the judge ruled against it, saying the two have an office to run.
If this was any other case, if they were a supervisor and a manager at any other establishment that was charged with theft and corruption in their roles, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
It's no different than if the sheriff's office is prosecuting someone, they have to respect that person's rights. His rights are the same.
Both the sheriff and the deputy gave not guilty pleas to the judge. Judge Spainhour maintained that the accused men's innocence is innocent until proven guilty. She also ruled that they must have no contact with the two detectives who submitted whistleblower complaints against them. The detective's civil lawsuit is separate from this criminal case. The criminal trial is now set for October 27th. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has vetoed a bill that would dismantle DEI efforts at Kentucky's public universities. House Bill number 4 eliminates all DEI officer positions and ends DEI training sessions. Beshear, who is seen as a potential presidential candidate in 2028, branded the legislation as being about hate. He said that in a veto message posted to social media.
Now, I believe in the golden rule that says we love our neighbor as ourselves, and there are no exceptions. No asterisks. We love and we accept everyone. This bill isn't about love. House Bill 4 is about hate. So I'm going to try a little act of love myself, and I'm going to veto it right now.
But with a Republican supermajority in both chambers in Frankfort, keep in mind the governor's veto will likely be overridden. Today, President Donald Trump signing an executive order that would dismantle parts of the U.S. Department of Education. Surrounded by school kids sitting in desks at the White House, Trump laid out his plans. The administration is arguing U.S. schools are failing, but the Department of Education does not administer curriculum or create lessons or set requirements for enrollment and graduation. Trump arguing that shuttering the department will help students in the long run.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs.
The White House says the department is not completely going away, just downsizing greatly. Critical funding related to student loans and special education funding will continue. Just last week, the Trump administration cut the department, firing nearly half of its staff. Now educators are left wondering about where federal funding for schools will come from. Superintendent Todd Neese here locally says without the money, there could be fewer teachers in the classroom and a loss of special education support. But supporters of the plan say the money will still be there.
It's a matter of which department at the federal level is going to distribute those funds, or is it going to come straight to the states to distribute those funds throughout their districts.
When we're talking about those dollars, I mean, that could equate and cause some serious issues, especially when we're hiring teachers with our special ed fund. Then you have to find other ways to pay for those things.
A group of Democratic senators have written a letter to the Education Secretary Linda McMahon urging her to reinstate employees already laid off, warning student loan borrowers could also suffer dire circumstances. Indiana state lawmakers want to remove the income cap on the state's school voucher program. The bill would expand the state's voucher program to all students across the state, something supporters say is a win for educational freedom. The cost to expand the program comes out to $183 million over 2 years, according to the Legislative Services Agency, something opponents warn would come out of public schools' budget.
So we're starting our public schools out in a gamed system, and we're draining their resources.
Do we fund schools or do we fund students? And if parents make certain choices next school year, there'll be a lot of money go to traditional public schools. And if they don't make those choices, that's up to the parent.
The bill is currently sitting in the Indiana State Senate. Right here tonight, new court documents show that there's going to be another delay in deciding the fate of the consent decree locally between the U.S. Department of Justice and Louisville Metro government and the police department. The decree was finalized after the U.S. Department of Justice uncovered civil rights violations following the shooting of Breonna Taylor by Metro Police. The U.S. Department of Justice has now asked for another extension to file materials related to the case. The DOJ and Metro government have been compiling additional information for U.S. District Court Judge Benjamin Beaton after he requested it, noting that he would not be a rubber stamp for the agreement, which could bind LMPD for many years in the future. The DOJ, in their filing, said they need more time to consider the questions the court directed the parties to answer. The new response deadline is now April 21st. Well, after decades in office and serving this community, the longtime Jefferson County Sheriff, 86-year-old John Aubrey, will be retiring after his term ends. The announcement made today, Sheriff Aubrey has held the position for 7 terms, with 27 years in the position. The announcement comes just 2 months after Aubrey was named the National Sheriff's Association 2025 Sheriff of the Year. Speaking today, he took time to thank his family, friends, and fellow officers for supporting him over the course of a very long career.
Always concerned I overwork the word thank you, but I don't think you can say that enough, especially if you've had a career like I've had, because you cannot do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself, and I've just been blessed.
Aubrey spent many years with the old Louisville Police Department before becoming sheriff. Aubrey's term as sheriff ends in 1 year and 9 months from now. Right here, new tonight from the night team, the Kentucky Wildcats are preparing to face Troy in the first round of the tournament. Tomorrow night at 7 is the tip-off. Many big questions remain about what this Cats team is really and how far they can go. One question is truly dominating headlines ahead of the game. WHAS11 night team Sarandon Raboyne and our senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton are in Milwaukee tonight with the answers.
The biggest question around Kentucky heading up to Milwaukee for the first round of March Madness wasn't around Lamont Butler and his health. It wasn't even whether or not the Cats are going to make it out of the first round of the tournament. It's how much money did Mark Pope give Big Blue Nation for gas?
Now, I'm going to say something I'm going to regret, but it's only a 7-hour drive. If anybody's having trouble with gas money, hit me up. Let's go. Let's get all BBN out there. I'm not going to tell you how to hit me up because I'm nervous about how many people are about to hit me up.
Well, I'm on purpose not keeping count because I want to reduce my stress level before tournament play. But it's yeah, that was not the smartest thing.
It would have been nice, you know. I'd take that offer anyway. You know, him being the player at Kentucky too, you know, he knows what it means to, you know, really be a Wildcat and, you know, how passionate the fans really are, and he just wants to succeed at the end of the day, which is really awesome to see.
I think he's a great coach, you know, just starting off his first year, being able to have a lot of success like this, it's a really good thing.
But it's all family, baby. It's all family.
Now, whether or not you got a check from Mark Pope himself, there's still plenty of time for Big Blue Nation to make it up to Milwaukee. The Cats tip off against the Troy Trojans at 7:10 Eastern. I'll preview more of that matchup coming up in sports. Reporting at Pfizer Forum, I'm Sarandon Raboyne, WHAS 11 on your side.
And we have a lot more on this later to come here on the night team. Our sports director Kent Spencer has highlights from Louisville's heartbreaking loss inside UK's Rupp Arena today. Kent covered the game.